It was a cold October night, and Kelsey and Dill podcasted from their bedrooms. Welcome to October here on Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. I set the ambiance. I put my lighting up very red, and I turned my ring light off. So it's just
I like
computer
it.
light. Very unfriended, spooky vibes. You know what I mean? Like the just me and the laptop and the abyss of blackness behind me. Kelsey, how's it going? Happy spooky season. Happy October.
Happy fall, Dill. I'm so excited. It's fall. I decorated my apartment. I got my pumpkin candles. I've been drinking my pumpkin spice. I'm ready.
So you're a fall girl, not an autumn girl. You use the words fall. I'm a big autumn guy. I say autumn.
I'd like to be more of an autumn girl. I definitely use fall way more in my vernacular than autumn, but I do love autumn. Like it's very aesthetic. It's a prettier word than fall.
I was gonna say, when you use it as an adjective, do you say it's folly or it's autumnal? Because I love the word autumnal.
Honestly, Dill, I think this is the first time in my adult life that I've ever heard the word autumnal. What is it?
No, autumnal. It's not autumnal. It's just autumn with al. Like it's
You know
autumnal.
I struggle with words. Please
No,
don't
I
yell
know.
at me.
Well, that's why I'm asking you which one you prefer. All right. So today,
Autumnal?
autumnal. Yeah, like autumn. Autumnal.
That was a
It's
taste
going to
of
be a very
Tums I just
autumnal
had.
episode, very horror era centric. Not horror, really. Yeah, I guess so. We're going to
Yeah.
be counting down the top 10 scariest Marvel movie moments. We did the most shocking Marvel movie moments way back when, and it was just MCU. Now we've expanded it to all Marvel, and we're talking scary, not just surprising, because there's some surprising moments that aren't scary per se. There are some surprising moments that will carry over today that are also scary as well. And then at the end, we're going to give you guys our 31 days of Halloween lists. Kelsey last year on her TikTok did a lot of great stuff with her 31 days of Halloween list. I've been doing, this is the fourth year, I think, in a row, or fifth year that I've been doing it. Let's see. Fourth year that I've been doing it, where I plan out my schedule and then I watch a movie a day. But it's fun. 31 days, 31 movies. And then at the end of the month, we'll do our wrap up video like we did last year, our Halloween special. We'll dress up in costume. We will talk about all the movies we watch. We'll give our top five, our bottom five, and all the ones in the middle. Kelsey, are you excited for scary Marvel moments? Or are you a little nervous?
I'm nervous because I feel like I might have at least one carryover from my shocking list that I didn't realize. I forgot we did that episode, and then as you said it, I was like, oh no, are some of these on the shocking moments?
Yeah.
But then some of the movies and specials and episodes and stuff were not out yet when we did that episode. So I think
and shocking, a lot of it was plot reveals and stuff like that. That's not really scary, even though I do have a couple of those on mine as well. So it'll be fun to see what carryover we had. It was so long ago, I don't remember what was on that list. But before we get to it, we do have some news, Kelsey, that you would like to share. And no, we're not going to talk about the couple that was anointed at the football game last week.
We're not.
No, that is. I mean, we can. That's not Marvel news, but we can talk about it real quick. Your name is Kelsey. How do you feel about the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift relationship rumors? Are they more confirmed now? Is it just they're seeing each other, but they're not a relationship? You would probably be able to tell us better than I would. How do you feel? Because as we're podcasting right now, Taylor Swift is a few miles away at MetLife Stadium, and Travis Kelce is playing football. So that is kind of fun.
Yeah, obviously I'm obsessed still. She's right over at MetLife Stadium where I saw her a few short months ago at the Eras tour, which was exciting. I think she's just in her single girl era. She just got out of a 6-year relationship and she's having fun. She got invited to go to a football game. She went. It looked like she was having the time of her life. And she's exploring something new. And I think that we should just let her, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally feel you. So, that is the real life news. What is the Marvel news you have to share today, Kelsey?
The Marvel news, the news that really, our listeners want to hear about is the fact
the listeners are screaming. The listeners are saying you need to calm down, Kelsey. So.
Nice.
Yeah, so now fill this blank void, this blank space, if you will, with some news, please. Let's get back to reality. Welcome to New York, Kelsey.
As we know, thank you, Dill. The the next week's episode, obviously, we're going to be talking about we're finally getting a movie and a TV show again. We're officially out of the off season. We're getting Loki season 2, and
What's the
originally,
movie?
well, the movie, well, the Marvels is coming out in November. But
Oh,
I'm
right.
just
You said the
saying.
movie and TV show. I was like, oh, there's a
No,
movie
I'm
also.
just saying, like we're finally
Like we're getting
getting
another
we're getting
something. Yeah.
content again.
Oh, don't say that word. I hate that C word. The C word. Ugh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Is
okay.
that your Roman Empire deal?
Oh, is that a meme that I'm not aware of? I don't know. I'm way out of touch right now.
Oh my God, Dylan, you haven't seen the Roman Empire meme?
No, I have, but I just don't understand what it means. Like is that the
It's like
thing that you obsess over that
it's
pisses
like
you off?
something
Like,
like no, it's like more like just something like really random and obscure that you
hmm,
think about like really often.
gotcha. Well, I mean, I'd say a lot of like actors and especially YouTube or at least film critics don't like to use the word content because it's like content makes it seem like it's just a product for like a market, like oh, it's just product, it's just content rather than actual art. So I don't like to use the C word when addressing art because it's like no, it's art, it's not content. So I feel like I'm not
Sure.
alone in
Okay.
that boat, but
I
as a
like it.
YouTuber, it's hard because a lot of the times when you're uploading videos or whatever, it's like, oh, what's your channel content? It's like, okay. The contents of what you do, but it is not content purely to be content. It's art. But that's it's
Right.
my Roman Empire. You're right. You cracked that open because now I'm
You
rambling
I
about it.
gotcha.
Yeah, there you
Um
go.
so like I was saying, Loki season 2 is coming out, and originally it was supposed to come out October 6th. But then the time glitched and we're actually getting it a day early on October 5th. Why they did that? Was it just to throw us off? Was it like a kitschy bit for the show that, Loki keeps glitching out in past, present, future times? Or was it because of some other reason that Disney Plus maybe down the line saw a scheduling conflict down the line somewhere? Who knows? But we're getting it a day early. It's coming on October 5th,
Cool.
and I am excited.
I am too. I think it's been like you said a while. Like what was the last
Yeah.
thing we got? Spider-Verse, I guess, was the last like new release that
Yeah.
was Marvel. So it's been at
That
least
was
oh
a
no, Secret
long time
Invasion. Sorry,
ago.
Secret Invasion. I
Oh,
totally forgot.
yeah, we don't have to
That
talk
was
about
not
that one.
intentional. That was not intentional. I totally forgot. So it's only been like about a month and a half month, but 2 months.
That's,
But
like, long.
yeah, that's long considering the pandemic. We had it like every other week, but I think that was a little too much. So now we're like
Right.
in this happy medium, hopefully, with Loki, and then we'll get in the Marvels, and then maybe What If by the end of the year. I can't keep track anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Now the writer's strike is over. We're gonna say yay. That's the other news that's new is that the writer's
Oh,
strike is
yeah,
over. So
yeah, that's
that's
true.
big. That is a real life and a Marvel thing because now the Marvel movies are gonna be back in production in terms of writing. But the actors are still striking. So go support your actors. Make sure they get their fair wages too. The writers got a hell of a deal. I don't have the hour to break it down here, but it is an
Mhm.
amazing deal. They got a great deal. So, that's what you protest, and sometimes good things actually come out of it.
Yeah,
So
I'm
don't
happy
don't
for
ever
them.
slander protest people. It works.
They
All right,
deserve it.
Kels, you want to get into our top 10 scariest moments of Marvel? I almost said
Yes.
of the MCU, but I'll be honest. I was surprised how many Marvel moments I actually had that were not MCU. I know I'm
Mhm.
much more, like I was an OG Spider-Man person, an OG
Yeah.
X-Men, so like I probably have more than you do. But Kelsey, do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to kick us off?
Oh, I can kick us off.
All right,
Um,
cool.
my number 10 is pretty lame. It's definitely something that was definitely on my shocking, top
Can I
10
say can I say
list.
one thing right before we start? I decided to limit it to one per movie or show. So like I'm not
Oh,
gonna have I could have had like 5 or 6 things from a certain movie or not. I'm not saying you have to do that. Just for me, it helped myself narrow it down because I know you
yeah,
probably because I honestly had like 4 or 5 from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that I was toying
yeah,
with because there's a lot of frightening moments in that. But I was
yeah.
like, you know what? Let me pick one per movie so that way it's not so heavy. There's a character that I think is very heavy on here across different projects.
Mhm.
A property, but I think this is the best way for me to put together my list because it helped me narrow it down. But anyway, continue on what you were going to say. This was on your
Um,
surprising moments list as well,
yes, and, I definitely did not do that, Dill.
which is fine.
I have it's hard because that's really the only project was marketed as a horror movie. So obviously that one's gonna have a lot of the, jump scary
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so my list kind of, like, varies between, like, moments that I just either found, like, eerie or like, you know, moments, different levels of scary, different like
Hmm.
scary in different fonts, if you will. And this one was scary in a way where I just like did not know what was going to happen. I didn't know what the fate of the MCU is going to be after this happened. I didn't know who I was going to see dusted next after this happened. And so my number 10 top 10 scariest moments on in the MCU is Thanos' snap. I was
Oh, okay, good
scared.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary moment. Like I said, I picked one from each thing, so like I have another Infinity War moment on there, but I was definitely toying around with it. I think honestly, my
Mhm.
sensitivity to it has dropped since because it's like it's
Right.
been
We know
so
what
long,
happened.
and I think even in the moment, I was like it was more stunned than scared because I was like, what is happening? And then I was like, well, they're gonna come back. I mean, Black Panther just grossed $2-3 billion, so like they're not gonna kill them off,
Sure.
which is sad in retrospect considering he had to leave the MCU prematurely already. But I agree. That's a scary moment. It's a harrowing moment. It's like you can hear a pin drop when that happens because everyone's silent during it.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. Is it just the sequence that scares you? The concept of it? The reactions? What is it that scares you the most about it?
Probably the concept of it, and the sequence that follows where we're, one by one we're seeing people kind of disappear, major characters are becoming dust in the wind.
Yeah. That's a good point. All right. My number 10, I believe it might be the only one I also had in my surprising list. So that's why I put it at 10 because I was like,
Yeah.
I already said it. And it's a moment that is so quick that it's not like, it's not one of the top five scariest things in the MCU, but it's one that made me scared, or at least startled. I hate jump scares because it's like jump
Mm,
scares are like they're called scares, but are they really scary or are they startling? Because like jump scares don't really linger with you. It's other stuff that lingers. It's really scary. This is just a
right.
startle, but it is a startle nonetheless. It's my favorite character in the MCU. We're talking about Miss Minutes. My number 10 is the
Oh,
Miss Minutes jump scare. I know I had to put it on. I know it's shocking. Miss Minutes is
you
making a list like
I'm
this, but
shocked.
it's yeah, it's whatever. I don't care that it's such a minute moment. I'm putting it on my list. It's my list. I don't care. And it's so minute, but I just love that moment, especially because Loki is not a scary show, but it's very heady, very sci-fi, very twisted. It's a slow burn at times to where you're not expecting something like that. But now that we got that, I feel like we're gonna get a little bit more of that in the second season. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited. And because Loki's coming up, it's in the intro. Also, the Miss Minutes. Hey y'all. I mean, I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. Yeah, I had to give an ode to my love. So
Jill, the only reason why I'm shocked is because I thought this was gonna be your number one. I'm not gonna
no, because
lie.
it doesn't like linger. I don't think about it like "Ugh," I don't. It doesn't
Oh,
shiver my
okay.
timbers. It doesn't. It doesn't freak me out. It's just in the moment I'm like It's like Jesus Christ. But I love it. It's a great moment. I know it's an
Wow.
unpopular opinion, but that is one of the top 10 scariest moments in Marvel. Not because I'm doing it all. And if you just look at MCU, it's top five. So wait, let me look. I'm counting how many MCU I have. One, two,
Okay.
three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's my number 6 scariest MCU moment.
I
So
love
so
it.
that's a little bit better. All right, Kels, what's your number 9?
Well, Dale, it's my number 9 top 10.
Miss Minutes?
MC yes.
No way!
Yeah, I have Miss
Oh my
Minutes
god.
down.
Okay, I
It,
thought that was like an unpopular opinion based on your reaction.
no, I thought that I was like, Miss Minutes is easily gonna be Jill's number 1. He loves that moment.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's one of those that just makes you go, "Whoa." It catches you off guard. Your heart skips a beat for a minute. So yeah, I obviously had to include it on my list. It's an iconic moment.
Yeah. So my number 9, it's when I was looking through like other non MCU things. I stumbled upon this one moment that I was like, oh yeah, that was really frightening. There's a lot of like nightmare sequences in Marvel. We have plenty of
Mm.
them, and I'm not going to say them now because you might have some too. But
Mm.
there's a lot of nightmares, and I think the scariest one for me, because I think it holds the most stakes, is the nightmare in the Wolverine. I know you hate that movie, but the nightmare that Hugh Jackman's Logan has when he's laying in the bed with Jean Grey,
Mhm,
and oh
mhm.
gosh, stop making that face because it's a
No, no,
frightening moment.
I'm just trying to remember. Like, I remember them being in the bed, but I don't remember the nightmare itself. So can you
Yeah,
tell
he's like
me?
having a nightmare. I mean, that's the thing is like I can't really go into detail remembering exactly the beats for beats of it, but I was like looking back through all my like Marvel reviews and I remember like jotting that down in my notes as like, ugh, scary Jean Grey nightmare or whatever. People, I mean, it's my number
Mhm.
9, so I'm not gonna dwell on it too much, but like go watch it.
Yeah.
It's freaky, it's frightening. It's got just kind of this like odd moment where like it's disorienting for the audience too because they don't know if it is a dream or not, and then Jean Grey slightly turns and it's like, ugh,
Mm.
yeah, especially, and I think the stakes of the relationship and how invested we are as a couple that far into the series also aids to it too, because it's like we've seen Jean Grey's full arc from the original trilogy, so it's no now to see this beautiful moment of them together in a bed, and then nope, she turns and it's a nightmare, and he wakes up all frightened. I mean, that was why I put it at my number 9, but it's not too high. I mean, I just wanted to include it because I also love that movie and want to give him more rep. But because it was like a different choice, and of all the nightmare sequences in the MCU, that's the one that like is legitimately, I think, the most scary because it's like literally his love for her is now coming to haunt him. Whereas a lot of the other ones are based on imagery, this one's also got the stakes of the relationship in
Mm.
it too. So, yeah, Logan's Nightmare in the Wolverine.
I love how you thought out of the box for this, Dill.
Thank you.
Really admirable. I wish
The
I had
next
done
few
the
picks I
same.
have are very basic, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, my number 8, was a moment in the MCU, that really had me on the edge of my seat. It was kind of those one of those things I was, like, holding my breath the whole time because I had never seen an action sequence like it,
Huh.
and so I'm gonna go with the scaffolding fight from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten
Oh,
Rings.
I didn't even think of
Because
that. Yeah.
and specifically the moment when Katie is, like, hanging off the edge
Yeah. Hmm.
onto, like, one of the pieces of scaffolding and, like, it's about to snap and Shang has to save her. Woo! It's like I get nervous just thinking about it. Like that's just
Yeah.
like so that idea and that concept to me is just like so scary. Especially like, we're walking around New York all day. We're looking at these high
Yeah.
skyscrapers and
Yeah.
imagine like dangling from no, I can't do
No,
that.
yeah, it's one of those things that it's not even like made to be like a scary or horror like moment. It's just the fear of heights is the scare factor in that, and setting a whole action set piece. I didn't even think of like any action scenes as a scary moment,
Mm,
but you're right. Like that is an action scene that is fully a scary moment in the MCU because it's like got those stakes of you fall, you're dead type thing, which a
yeah.
lot of fights are. But it's like I don't know. There's something about
Well,
Iron
because
Man falling. He has his blasters to make him fly. Shang doesn't have
yeah.
that. So.
What makes me nervous about it is like whenever we see like one of our heroes, battling one of our villains, is that like we can kind of assume that like our hero's making it out like
Mhm.
from the other side of this. Like they're gonna come out on top. But for side characters, it's anyone's guess what's gonna happen. So I'm like, oh my god, could this be the end of Katie? Who knows? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's more stakes.
That's great. My number 8 is my Infinity War pick, and it's a moment that is a little scarier to me than the snap because of I think the visual of it, and that is
Yeah.
when Thanos reverses time and rips the thing out of Vision's head. That image of the
Mm,
Vision with the lifeless kind of
yeah.
like thing is taken out of his head, and he's got those like glazed over eyes, and he's just lying there, and he just falls so
Yeah.
like almost like dropping a weight on the floor. Like that to me is always stuck with me. It's so scary. That movie is full of scary moments because I also consider
Mhm.
the Gamora scene like a lot of scary moments. The Loki scene, there's a lot of scary
Mhm.
stuff in that movie, but I think that
Yeah.
moment, I think because it's also so quick and unexpected, and you don't have that second to breathe. At least the
Yeah.
snap, it's like snap, and then you wait a second, and then they all start
Yeah.
fading away. Whereas this one, it's just like reverse times, and I'm like, whoa, like it's just so sorry for the sound effects, but it's just
Yeah, I
really
think that's
so
the
crazy.
actual sound effects from the movie, though. That was
Yeah,
crazy how
just
you
insert it
replicated
in
that.
there. Yeah. When we do our Infinity
No,
War
that's
commentary someday, I will put those sound effects over it so people could always watch it back and hear what shit wha- right out as they're watching it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on
that's
Vision's death?
that's a great pick, Dill. Yeah, that's just like yeah, it's one of those things that, like, you really don't have a second to process it. Like, you don't even realize what happened until Vision's body hits the ground, and then you're just like, "Oh my god." Yeah, that whole movie, like, from the get-go, like, the tone that movie sets off from, like, the second we're hearing the distress signal from the statesman from the ship of all the Asgardians, and it's just like boom, boom. And
Mhm.
then we overhear Thanos talking, and we have that whole sequence up there. Like it just that movie is kind of scary in many different
It's a
ways.
horror film. I'd say. I mean,
Could
Ebony
yeah,
Maw. Yeah,
easily could be. He's scary. Oh my god.
yeah, Squidward. All right, what's your number
Squidward.
7, Kels?
My number 7 is well, I wanted to pick a project as a whole, but these are specific moments. So I'm gonna go with specifically in Werewolf by Night,
Hmm.
Jack Russell's transformation into the werewolf when him and Elsa are trapped in the cage together. And because, they do it really practically, like, it's very obvious that, like, he's in a suit and everything, so it's just kinda like you watch him, morph into this monster, and, now she's trapped in there with him, and
Mhm.
it's very scary. That was one of my favorite projects easily of Phase 4, so I have an
Yeah.
appreciation for that entire special, but I think I'd have to go with that moment specifically. That
It's so
gives
funny
me the
because
heebie-jeebies.
yeah, I totally blanked on even thinking of Werewolf by Night. I think it's because I've only seen it once.
Interesting.
I haven't gone back to it, so where I couldn't pick out
Mhm.
like a moment. I think the entirety of it is like really fun and spooky, but I think it's also because it's like more of that like throwback vibe to me, where it lessens the actual fear factor of it. But I have to go back and watch it again because I really do want to see how it plays on a second watch, and I really do think that's a very valid moment. I want to go back and watch it now because I totally didn't think of anything from Werewolf by Night. I also
You
didn't think of
should.
anything
It's spooky season.
from Quantumania or Guardians 3, now that I think about it either, because like I didn't even like bother to look. But I guess the only thing I could think of for Guardians 3, I don't know if it's on your list, so I don't want to say it,
I
but
don't have anything from Guardians 3 on my
yeah,
list.
I think maybe some of the animal abuse stuff, but that's like real life scary that I
But
don't know if yeah. And
yeah,
that's
I
not
mean,
scary, it's just more sad, you know. So
right. The kind of way that I made my list was I was just looking for things right off the
like
top of
the
my head.
Halloween, yeah.
Like yeah, I kind of went through all the phases and I looked at all the projects, and if anything stuck out to me, I wrote it down. But other than
Hmm.
that, I wasn't looking for anything because obviously it couldn't have been that scary because it didn't like relieve something with me. Honestly, what I almost like considered from Guardians 3 was just when we first see Counter Earth and all the half animal, half human hybrids. They're kind of freaky looking when you first
Yeah,
see them.
yeah, they are
And
a little
then you see like the little kid and you're like, "Oh, they're kind of cute when they're
bit. Hmm.
small." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's a
mm,
good point. Number 7 for me is my Multiverse of Madness pick. Like I said, I had a lot of them toying with, and I wanted to settle on
mhm.
one. The most frightening moment for me is Wanda crawling out of the mirror when her
Mm,
arms and legs and everything are like twisting and turning. It's so Sam Raimi, and he will appear later on this list again.
yeah.
But yeah, I love the visual of it because like body horror is my least favorite horror in terms of like I love it, but it makes me squirm the most. Like
Yes.
jump scares are over and done, and then like
Uh-huh.
psychological horror kind of lingers, but it's body horror is something that's so visceral and so literal that like I cannot do it. Like the new Evil Dead movie, I didn't love it for other reasons, but the scene that really got me the most was the heebie-jeebies was the cheese grater on the leg. Like that shit just always makes me squirm and go
Ooh.
crazy. It's all that Evil Dead shit that like I just
Yeah.
so yeah, that one definitely Wanda crawling out of the mirror is frightening. Also because she sells that performance so well. There are other moments in that
Yeah.
film which you may talk about too. Like I just
Yeah.
love her performance in that, and that sells it a lot. But thoughts on is this on your list later, or I don't want to spoil it if it's not.
It is on my list later.
Okay, so we'll talk about it later for you then. All right, what's your number 6, Kels?
My number 6 is actually something that you had pointed out. Remember, you made a comment about this scene and how kind of like eerie it was. And it's the opening sequence of Black Panther Wakanda Forever when we first kind of meet Namor and the people from, don't get mad. I can't think of the name of their like underwater
Trivia
world.
god Kelsey can't
It begins
pull.
with a T, I think, but when they're first summoning
Wait, if I
all
can pull this and you can't, that's gonna be amazing. Wait, let me get it.
it's like
Uh,
it's like ta it's
Not
like
Tahiti. No, that's
it's like
Moana.
ta it's like 3 syllables. It's like Teta Quan or something. Something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna pull it before I do.
Tol
Anyway,
Tol Tolka Khan
Tolkun.
or something.
Tolkun.
Something like that.
No, they are the Tolkun. Or no, is Tolkun an Avatar thing?
I don't remember, but
Because he's Kul Khan. I don't know.
Cuckoo Clan.
No, that's his name.
Oh, then maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, I want to Google it now. Anyway, I'll Google it
Anyway, that moment where
while
they're
you're
all like
talking.
like walking off the boat.
When they're acting as like sirens from the sea, basically, and they're like summoning all of the men on the ship to stop what they're doing, and they all just start walking off and walking off the ship and into the ocean. That was scary, dare
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Oh,
Okay, then
Talocon.
Talacon.
T-A-L-O.
I knew I was
I was
close.
close with
See,
Tolkien. I don't know how I got Tolkien though.
you know,
I don't know.
Tycoon.
The
You know
Tolkien
what?
from
You
Talocon.
know what
Is that
sounds
their
like you're
race?
trying to say? Roller coaster tycoon. That's what
Tycoon.
I think tycoon is.
There you go. Or like a
You ever
typhoon.
play roller coaster tycoon?
I did. I did. I
That's a
do.
big
I do
PC
not
game.
anymore, but I did.
No, me
Yeah, that's
neither.
a great moment. I mean, it's frightening, also, especially the silence of it all too. It's like very
Yes.
quiet.
Mhm.
It just that movie is just so hard to see. So many moments where like watching it
Yeah.
back just frustrates me. I'm like, make the lighting a little bit better. Let us see this moment. But it is a frightening moment. It is a frightening moment for sure. Um,
Yeah.
my number 6 is not really a jump scare. I guess it's an element of jump scare, but also just like the imagery of it too. Like jump scares are scary, but I think when it's a jump scare and the image you're seeing is also horrifying, I think it
Mm.
works really well. And it's an ongoing sequence, but like specifically the moment where uh, in Moon Knight, he's like running through the hallway or whatever, and like the lights flicker or whatever, and then the lights come back on, and Khonshu's just like standing there. That is
Mhm.
so frightening to me because it's like a jump scare, but it's a little prolonged. And I
Yes.
just think the image of Khonshu, I didn't put it in my top 5 only because now that we know who Khonshu is and the way he is, he's not
Yeah.
as scary now rewatching it. But that first time I watched it, I was definitely spooked. So I really like the Khonshu reveal in Moon Knight.
Dill, that's I have that exact moment somewhere down my
Mm.
list as well.
Oh,
But
cool. Okay.
also another moment I considered from Moon Knight was when, when we first find out we're doing the glitchy and goes to bed and then he wakes up in the field and
Mm.
then, he hears the voice and I'm pretty sure there's like a moment where he turns around and it's Conchu right in his face. And I
Yeah. Is that
almost
the first
considered
time we
that
see
as
him
well.
though? Or is it the second time? First?
I
Oh,
think that's the first time we see Conchu,
gotcha.
but it's
Gotcha.
very quick, so
Yeah.
we don't see a ton of him.
Yeah. And the one
But
in the
the
hallway
hallway
though with the
moment is
lighting is so good. Yeah.
the no, yeah. I loved that's a horror movie classic when you got a
Mm.
long hallway shot and then there's like one light that's like flickering and you're just like waiting for the thing to pop up.
It's
That
classic.
one will get you every time, you
And
know?
that's a good jump scare because it's like you can see it coming, but it always works.
Yes,
All right. What is your
exactly.
number 5, Kels?
So my number 5, I was actually really impressed with myself that I had thought of this one because like I said, I kind of went through all the projects and I was like, "Oh, what sticks out to me?" And honestly, this one is really scary because obviously we never like to watch Spider-Man lose. I just feel like as a fandom, like we're always
Wait,
rooting for Peter Parker.
do we have the same one? Keep going. Keep going.
I don't know, maybe. And it's so basically what I'm trying to build up to is the sequence in Spider-Man Far From Home when Mysterio has him like trapped in all his illusions and you're seeing all these different things that you like know are fake but are still terrifying. Like we see the shot of Tony Stark's grave and then
Zombie.
like
Yeah.
zombie Tony comes out and then we see the moment where MJ is like falling and like screams. She's like, releases this bloody murder scream. And then it all leads up to, we don't even have like a second to breathe because like obviously he does like the fake out when he pretends to be Nick Fury again. And then it all leads up to him being, stuck on the train tracks and then a train just coming and hitting him.
Yeah.
And like that entire sequence just like it just freaks me out.
Yeah, that is such a good sequence. It was my number. It was gonna be in my list, and then I went with. I was like, you know what? I have so much Spider-Man in my
Okay.
top 5. I'll tell you right now, 3 of my top 5 are Spider-Man related. To where I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? I need to like leave this off for something else. So I took this off
Okay.
and put on the Wolverine Nightmare because this is kind of in the nightmare realm of
Yeah.
things for me. This
Yeah.
would have been like my number 11 though. This and the Wanda dinner scene in WandaVision were like toying for that final spot, but I ultimately went with Miss Minutes. But yeah, that's such a good moment. And I think, yeah, it's so frightening. The zombie Iron Man, especially, is just so
Yeah.
good. Wow, that's such a good pick, Kels. My number 5 is a Spider-Man moment as well
Thank
from
you.
Homecoming. From
Oh,
Homecoming. And it's not your traditional scary moment, but
okay.
it's when he opens the door and Michael Keaton is standing there on prom night. And that whole sequence of
Oh,
him with the
okay.
knives in the kitchen,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
scary
yeah.
for reasons that other moments aren't. It's not a moment that's scary. It's a prolonged scene. And
Yes.
it's kind of like your scaffolding thing where it's not it's not a horror scene by any means. It's not meant to be
Mhm.
a horror scene. It's meant to be an action scene. This one's meant to be this dramatic moment. There's suspense, but I think the suspense is so heightened in that moment that my spidey senses were tingling and I was
Yeah.
frightened. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
moment, you're
yeah.
so scared. And Vulture's not even that scary of a villain, but I think knowing things that the characters don't, and knowing that
Mhm.
Peter knows, and knowing that Vulture might know, but maybe isn't showing it, and then knowing that Liz is a factor in this, and the knives at the kitchen, and then knowing he's gonna drive him. That whole sequence, that whole like 10 minutes of the movie is just so
Yeah.
scary to me that I'm just like, ah, it's like legitimately frightens the hell out of me. Because Michael Keaton, I love him. I know you don't, but he is a frightening dude. Um, and I love him because he's a frightening dude. He's not a frightening dude in real life. He's a sweetheart, but
Yeah, yeah.
him, he plays frightening guys really well. I mean, he's Beetlejuice, so that's just so scary.
It's not that I don't like him, it's just that he scares me. Like,
Okay, so
I
he does
look
his
at
job.
him and I just get an eerie feeling washes over me.
You
And
gotta watch. You gotta watch Dope
I
Sick. Don't even watch
okay.
Dope Sick, but watch his Emmy acceptance speech for Dope Sick, where he talks about his nephew that died of opioid
Mm.
addiction. It is the most human speech you'll ever see, and I think it'll turn you around on him
Oh
because
my
he
god.
can't be scary in that moment. But yeah, no, I agree. Like he's got a twisted like charm to him. Even when
Yeah.
he's Batman, he kind of has that. So
And Jill, the added layer to that scene, the added suspense, I think that's what I'd call it, a suspenseful scene, right?
mm,
Is that you're like, "Oh my god, is, like, the villain gonna figure out who Peter is? Like, is he gonna figure it out? Like, is he gonna blow his cover? Like, is he just gonna kill him right then and there?" Like, it's that as well because, Peter obviously who he is, but Vulture doesn't know who Peter is.
right,
And so that's the suspenseful part for me, especially.
nice. What
Um
is your number 4, Kels?
Oh, we're already on number 4, this is crazy.
Yeah,
So my
yeah.
number 4 is the Khonshu moment in the
Oh,
apartment
sweet.
hallway when we
Nice.
first see Khonshu and, like, the his mummy toilet paper rolls are,
His
like,
raps.
waving off of him. His wraps, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I've only ever,
His
like
toilet paper
I've
rolls. I
only
know exactly
okay.
because you said it, I know exactly what you mean. Our
You know what I'm
in
talking about, though?
Halloween in elementary school, we
Yes,
used to wrap
it's
people up
like,
and
in
yeah.
toilet paper.
Mhm.
And so I had thought for a moment that he had multiple legs, but he only has 2.
Yeah.
So that's on
But
me.
that makes it even scarier because it's like
Yeah,
this
I thought it was like this
octopus.
huge creature with I told you what I thought it looked like. It looked like that thing from the Spy Kids movie, and he's a nice character, but he's scary to look at.
Mhm. Um, that's great. Number 4 is another non-MCU. At this point now, I have 3 more non-MCU, and then my number 1's an MCU. So my number
Okay.
4 is Charles Xavier's death in Logan. When the Logan clone, the younger clone, kills Charles Xavier, and they're at the farmhouse, and Logan's out doing work with the like dad or whatever of the farm, and Charles
Oh,
Xavier has been
oh.
put to bed, and he's alone in the
Mhm, mhm,
bed, and
mhm.
then the
Okay, I'm there.
clone that I forget the name of it, the X-20 something, like comes up and is like just this hulking monster and like basically just impales Charles Xavier. That moment is so frightening because Charles Xavier, that whole movie is so frail and old. And then like to
Mhm.
see him meet his end that way, it's so bitter. And then to see Logan's reaction to it and knowing that Logan is so close but yet so far, setting it on this like little farmhouse where it's so quiet and quaint and like it's the middle of
Yeah.
the night in this cornfield. It's like it's the horror vibes to me that like really emphasize that moment and make it scary. And I just I it's sad, but it's also very frightening when I watch it. I'm always like, no, like I'm screaming. I'm just like so in fear for what's about to happen next, even though I know it's going to happen every time. So that moment is extra sad. I know there's another Charles Xavier moment that you might talk about, that involves him as well. But
Yeah.
He's so scary. He's
Yeah.
not scary. That moment is scary. His death.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just sad. It's sad and scary, because he's so defenseless. That's also what makes it scary. Like
Yeah.
seeing old
Yeah.
people in peril is one of those things that always frightens me. Because I'm always like, ah, like falls and all that stuff, and you just, I can't. I can't.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick, Dill. And a very, very sad, very, very scary moment.
Hmm.
My number 3 is Wanda crawling out of
Nice,
the mirror,
nice.
in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And spoiler alert, my top 3 are all from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of
Oh
Madness.
wow.
I'm
Okay.
shamelessly, picking moments from that movie because I think, as my list went on, I kind of started off kind in a vague area of what scary really means. But then, by my top 5, I'm like, I want to get to the things that like really scare me, really stuck with me after I saw them, and really like had my heart pounding in the movie theater. And they all happened in this movie. So
Yeah.
get
No,
mad
that's
at me if
fair.
you want, but it's
Well,
my list.
my number 2 and 3 are both from the same director, so you do not have to worry. Sam Raimi is the master of it for a reason.
Yeah,
My
he
number
is.
3 is the in Spider-Man 1 when Norman Osborn is having the conversation with the Green Goblin in his mirror. I think that's just so frightening to me. He's like
Oh
Willem
yeah,
Dafoe. He's like looking at the mirror and
yeah,
he's so
yeah, yeah,
defenseless and scared. And then you have the other Willem Dafoe in the mirror being like, "You son of a bitch, you suck!" Like all this like crazy scary stuff. It's
yeah,
so like, oh, it's so eerie and suspenseful. And I think
yeah,
Willem Dafoe. I also considered the Norman's on sabbatical, honey
yes,
moment
yep,
in No Way Home and like the Aunt
yeah,
May death scene and all that. But like that's not as scary as it is memeable. But like this moment,
sure.
that's the stem of it is like when he's talking to himself in the mirror and it's two different personalities. I love the filmmaking techniques of that too, where you have this defenseless Norman on one side and this more authoritative one in the mirror, and the faces Willem Dafoe can make are just so scary too. So where you have
Mhm.
that like menacing grin, like the evil, I can't even do it, but yeah, that moment is the second scariest thing to come out of that trilogy. So I love it so much.
I can't wait to hear what number 1 is. My number 2, we talked about a different hallway sequence
Oh,
from, Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
Now I wanna talk about a hallway sequence that occurred, more of a tunnel sequence, if you will,
Oh,
from
okay,
Doctor
yeah.
Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and it's essentially when, they're, trying to escape Wanda, they're going through, like, the sewage pipes
Hmm.
or something, and they shut the door just in time, and they're all stopped for some reason. I hate when people in movies, especially scary movies, do this. They, like, shut the door and they just, like, wait there, and they're like, "Oh, what's gonna happen? Let's wait and find out." And I'm like, "No, keep running." And boom, Wanda pops up from God knows where. She made it through the door, and she's there, and that's when she's, like, covered in, like, the someone's blood, maybe her own, and she just, like, is, that's her craziest sequence, I think, that whole time in Earth, 838. So,
Yeah,
that was definitely gonna be somewhere on this list, that
yeah.
jump scare.
That was definitely in consideration. Yeah, it's the jump scare that's the scary part of it, but like just the whole chase is scary. I
Yeah.
think it's because like Wanda's already done so much at that point to where I'm not as scared because I'm like I've seen it all. I feel, but that jump
Mhm.
scare in particular is scary. Like I can't deny that. That is so good. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Um, oh, I was gonna say something else. Oh, and then the use of, like, sound again, like, once again, like, everything just kinda, like, goes quiet, and you only hear very faintly in the background, like, this, like, dripping of water, and it's just
I
it's
hate
like
water dripping. It's so
it's
scary.
a nail biter, it's a
Yeah.
nail biter.
I was trying to think of what movie I just saw. Was it Saw X maybe that I just saw where I just saw where like there's a water dripping in at one point in the movie, or was it something else?
Mm.
Wait, let me look at my letterbox. What did I
Oh,
just
yeah,
watch that
sure.
had? Yeah, it must
Uh,
have been, or maybe it
Toxic?
was no,
Or
like it was something like today or yesterday that I watched where like just
uh,
water was dripping and it was just frightening. Something inside. I just forget what the context is, but I think it was in one of the Saw movies. So I've been binging those. All right.
mm,
My number 2 is from the same trilogy. It's the
'kay.
second Spider-Man movie. It's another Sam Raimi moment. It's when they're operating in the hospital room on Doc Ock, and he's lying seemingly unconsciously on the hospital table, and it's just like he's covered by a gown, and then all of a sudden the tentacles come alive and start attacking all the people, all the doctors. that
Mm,
moment has always been
mm.
such a good moment to me. It's like
Oh,
it's so
yeah.
Sam Raimi where it's like just all of a sudden these tentacles have a mind for their own. That's been the scary thing about Doc Ock in that movie and in No Way Home, the fact that like he is overcome by these tentacles. Like there's no
Yeah,
way about it. I think the surgery is they're trying to remove the tentacles, right? Because it like locks into him, and then the
I think
tentacles just
so.
kind of come alive and start attacking the doctors and like
Oh,
picking up the doctors and throwing them around. And there's
yeah,
also all
yeah,
the
yeah.
another thing about doctors and dentists that I hate are the little sharp instruments. You know, the I call
Or
them the
like the little
instruments, the little
drilling, like
tools. Yeah, yeah. And during that scene, you're seeing the drills go and like flying all over the place,
yeah,
and you have the
yeah,
little
yeah.
scalpels just be. I'm like ah, like literally, like it's such a good moment, and it's more of like the horror buff in me going like woo woo woo, but it's also the Dylan side of me being like, oh no, I'm terrified. And
Yeah,
that's Sam Raimi for you. He'll make something that's equally fun and scary, and I think that's why he's your literal top three. He's two of my top three, also my number seven. Sam Raimi's a man.
yeah.
And
He's the
maybe
best.
when we talk about our 31 Days of Halloween, maybe one of us is going to watch some more Sam Raimi. Maybe, I don't know. All right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Um,
Kelsey, what's your number one scariest moment in the MCU?
okay, so my number one scariest moment, as I said before, also comes from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And it has to be, I mean, I put in general the Wanda taking out the Illuminati. Like that was just scary to watch. But
What I
I
alluded
think
to earlier with Charles Xavier. Yeah.
exactly. Which is a scary moment, but I
Yeah.
think what has like I picture it in my head and I think about this moment. This moment might be my Roman Empire because I
Mhm.
think about it too much. Not what mouth. What I think
Oh,
is worse in that fight, what is way worse is Captain Carter's death in that fight when
wow.
she
Okay.
is just sliced in half by her own shield.
Hmm.
Wanda literally throws it. You don't watch it happen because that would just be nonsense. But obviously we know what happens because the shield lands like gets thrown into the pillar behind her and we see it on her face. We hear the slice and we see her fall over. And it's oh my
Yeah.
god, it's that body horror thing you were talking about before, Jill, that just like makes me like so like it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
I like have to make sure that like my own body is intact because it feels like it happened to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. It's the
oh,
visceral
that
feeling. Yeah.
that
And
moment is so gruesome.
well, I think the no mouth also too. Just the idea of like your
Yeah,
head exploding inside because they're like almost like you can't get air out of your mouth, so it just pops your head open. Like that's
sure.
crazy to me. Um, that's such a good moment. Yeah, I mean that whole moment. Yeah, you can't just pick one. Like because it's also the neck
I
snapping of
know.
Charles Xavier. It's also the noodle
Right.
of Reed Richards.
Mhm.
Or the denoodling, I guess.
The denoodling.
I don't
Oh
know the
my
right
god.
word for that. The spaghetti.
Yeah,
Paschetti.
you're not
Um,
wrong.
yeah. All right, you ready for my number one, Kels?
Yeah.
Okay, my number one scariest moment. My scariest Marvel moment, the moment that frightened me the
Oh,
most.
it's from the MCU.
It is from the MCU.
Okay.
It is the toxic fan reception, particularly from men, after Captain Marvel came out.
Dill.
That is
Are you
the
doing a bit?
no, that is what I wrote down is the scariest thing that's ever come out of Marvel is the fan reception. And I'll be honest, I'm more pissed off about the Eternals fan reception, but it all stems from the
Yeah.
Captain Marvel fan reception. Because up till then, it wasn't really fans were all just kind of like, "Yay Marvel, yay Marvel, that was okay." Yay Marvel, that was okay.
Yeah.
Yay Marvel.
Yeah.
And then Captain Marvel came out, and everyone, for no reason,
And
there are valid reasons to not like Captain Marvel that some people have hit on. But for the
sure.
wrong reason, so many people were like, "This is dumb. She has no personality. Brie Larson should get dog poop delivered to her door in a cardboard box." Like all that shit that like you
Someone
get.
said that? Or did
People
you
have
just
all
make that
said
up?
that. No, that's like what happens when people hate celebrities is they send them shit in the mail. Like they'll literally send packages of poop in the mail for celebrities to open up, and that's why celebrities don't give their real addresses anymore. They get PO boxes. But it's like that
Ew.
idea of like it's like hate mail, and I
Yeah.
just don't understand why people need to take it in that direction. I know this is like a cheat because we're talking about scary moments of Marvel, but I think in terms of the movie making industry and how some choices have or haven't been made since to appease fans and keep fans happy and give them what they're used to and not taking bold risks. And same thing happens with Eternals. You make a movie that's a little less conventional, a little more sci-fi heady, people have the same response. Like, it's this idea that Marvel feels the need now to keep it a little safe when they could be taking risks.
Yeah.
And the biggest risk they've taken since is Werewolf by Night, which they just threw on Disney Plus, so much so that I forgot about it. And I think that's just a very scary thing for the movie industry, is the reception of Captain Marvel. So that is my number one. If you really want to make a real number one, it's my Doc Ock. And then at number 10, I can put the dinner scene in WandaVision where they're with the couple and then she just like starts staring at her. That would be my number 10 if I didn't come up with a Captain Marvel one. But
That's
honestly, I think it's a valid enough number one. And if not, then Dr. Octopus is like my number 1A. But
hey, don't double back.
I'm just saying, because there's going to also be those same people. There's going to be the same people who hated Captain Marvel for the wrong reasons that are going to come at me and say, that's not a scary moment in the MCU. Get a brain or whatever. And I'm going to be like, no, because it's legitimately the only thing that like I still fear in my real life now is the idea that I can't like a movie because I'm worried that if I post a review about it, thousands of people are going to come at me saying this, that, because I'm supporting or not supporting something. You know, it's like that idea.
Sure, yeah.
I just think talking about movies has never been the same since. Because if you don't remember, right around that time was also The Last Jedi came out, and it was a similar idea. And you know, like just the idea of like all this like toxic fandom. And I think toxic fandom is the scariest thing that has come out of the MCU or Marvel proper. But I just thought it was an inspired number one, just because I don't think any of these moments truly terrify me, whereas that actually terrifies me, especially in the midst of writers and actors strikes. There's already enough shit going on behind the scenes. You don't need to add that to it. So what are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's exactly what you're saying, Dale. Like, the people who are like, keep politics out of it, are the people who are the ones that bring up politics the most when it comes to like movies like this. Like, we're just all trying to enjoy like a woman-led movie, and you're making it about the fact that it's like a bunch of women and that pisses you off. So it's deeply upsetting, and it is scary, and it's scary to be a woman every day. And welcome to my world.
There you go. So those are our top 10 scariest moments of the MCU. And we'd love you to share yours down below. What do we miss? The one big one that I know people are going to be like, why do you leave it off, was Age of Ultron, all those nightmares. But it's hard to pick which one. You know? It's hard to pick which one because there's a lot of them.
I had a different moment from Age of Ultron. I wrote down actually the fight when, you know, Hulk kind of goes crazy from his night, whatever he sees. And he has to, him and Tony basically destroy all of South Africa. So that was scary.
So now we're going to transition to our other topic today, and that is announcing our 31 Days of Halloween rosters. Kelsey, I'll go first this time since you went first for the list. I'm going to go first, sharing my screen here. Let me find it. Here we go. This is my 31 Days of Halloween. There we go. The calendar's complete. Let me try to minimize this so you can get the full border. Nope, that's Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I see. There we go. So I don't know how that happened, but here's my list. I decided to theme. I liked last year because I did A through Z. And now this year I was like, I don't want to do one theme for the whole month. I want to do a bunch of little themes. So each week has a different theme. But then I was like, but I also want to watch all these new releases. So I was like, you know what? Let's make Monday through Friday theme weeks. And then we'll save the weekends for 2023 releases. So today, the day we're recording this on October 1st. So I already saw X this morning. So that was my first film of the 31 Days of Halloween. Then October 2nd through 6th is my black and white Halloween. I almost said horror, but one of these movies is not horror. So just black and white Halloween themed things. Frankenstein from the 30s, the original monster movie. We actually talked about it when we talked about The Incredible Hulk, the sequence by the water. I referenced this movie. Excited to revisit it. Arsenic and Old Lace, that's the one that's not horror, but it does take place on Halloween. It's a fun little like crime murder mystery type thing. House on Haunted Hill, don't know too much about it, but it's been recommended by a lot of people. Same as Carnival of Souls. That was a recommendation from Chad. Shout out to you, Chad. Eraserhead, a David Lynch movie I've never seen, but I've always wanted to, and it fits kind of like the creepy psychological horror vibes. So that's my black and white Halloween week. And then Renfield, which I never got to see earlier in the year with Nick Cage playing
Mm,
Dracula. And then
yeah.
on the 8th, I'm going to go see The Exorcist Believer in theaters. Kelsey, you're welcome to join if you want,
Oh,
because I don't
cool.
know how it's going to be. But I want to see it, and no better time than during this week. Yeah, just I'm not excited for it.
So,
Not because I'm scared, just because I just don't really love the first one, and I don't think this one's
yeah,
gonna get any better.
yeah.
And I think I should give the first one more credit, whereas this one I don't know yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Then October 9th through 13th is my 80s horror week. Some 80s
Mm,
classics, The Shining, which I've seen a bunch of times, but I also have to watch that for my Sight and Sound podcast. So I was like, why not kill two birds with one stone? Number 10, American Werewolf in London. I've never seen it. First ever movie to win
mm.
best makeup at the Oscars. It was the category was created for that film, so that's pretty cool.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
Number 11, a cult classic called Possession, which I don't know anything about, but everyone last year like somehow like stumbled upon it and was raving about it, like a close group of people that I'm friends with. So like I was like, yeah, let me try it. 12 is my dad's birthday, Jeff. So I figured why not watch another Jeff's film, Jeff Goldblum in The Fly, um, which I've also
Love
never seen.
it.
It's a Cronenberg film. I've never seen a Cronenberg film, so that'll be fun. I've seen films of his sons, Brandon Cronenberg, but never David Cronenberg. The 13th, it is Friday the 13th, so I figured why not watch a Friday the 13th movie on Friday the 13th, and I'm going to be watching the third one because I've never seen it. I've seen the first two. On the 14th, I'm watching Cobweb, which is a horror movie that came out earlier this year. The 15th, I'm
Mhm.
watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. You got to throw some bad ones in there that are just bad Hollywood Halloween
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah.
And that one always intrigued me. So I was like, what better time than now? Then for Framerec, Chad is coming on Framerec as a guest, and Chad, and I are going to cover 3 of the Halloween films. So I decided to put them in my 31 Days of Halloween, and I decided, you know what, let's make it a whole Halloween week. So we're going to do Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and then Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And then I figured Thursday and Friday, let me also watch some Halloween movies I've never seen. Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Those are the 2 Halloween remakes. So I've seen the first 2. The third one doesn't really have anything to do with the franchise. There are also 2 more that I haven't seen that I'll get around to at some point.
Mm.
But that's my Hollow week. And then 21st, I'm watching Slaughterhouse, which I heard fun things about. That's a recent kind of like campy
Never heard of
horror film.
that.
It dropped a few months ago, I want to say, a new release, maybe on Prime or something like that. It looks cheesy and fun and stupid, so I'm excited. Disney's Haunted Mansion, I still haven't seen that, so I'm going to watch that on the
Mm,
22nd. It's hitting Disney Plus this week, so I'll watch it then.
no.
And then 23rd to 27th, I kind of needed to force a theme here, so I just wrote modern classics, just because these are
Okay.
five movies I either want to watch or rewatch because I either didn't love them the first time and need to give them another listen, or I've never seen them and have heard great things. Funny Games is a movie from one of my favorite international directors, Michael Haneke. I believe it's in French, so I'm excited to see that movie because I also like international horror, and I haven't had any on this list yet. Then The Sixth Sense is a movie I really liked but didn't love the first time. So I want to see if now that
Mm.
I know the twist, if I rewatch it, if I like it better or worse. We're also covering it on Picture this month, so I figured that'd be a good time for it. 25th, Donnie Darko. Never seen it. Excited to watch it for the first time. 26 is The Vivitch, otherwise known as The Witch, a movie I did not like at all the first time I saw it, and everyone since has been like, that movie's a masterpiece, so I need to rewatch it, so I'm putting it on the list. And then The Invitation, not the one that came out last year about the vampires, the one that came out in 2015, directed by Karen Kusama, who directed Jennifer's Body. That's the one I'm going to be watching, The Invitation, on the 27th. And then the 28th, a new Hulu film called No One Will Save You, which I've been hearing rave reviews for, that I'm excited to
Mm.
watch. And then 29 in theaters, Five Nights at Freddy's. That trailer looks so fun. It's like Chuck E. Cheese meets Night at the Museum. And then the
Yeah.
30th and 31st are always the same every year. It's Hocus Pocus on the 30th and the original Halloween on the 31st. So that's my
Wow.
list. Chelsea, any blanket thoughts on my list?
I was curious about the themes because I know last year you did the alphabet, so I was like, "Oh, I wonder if there's like a method to the madness." And of course, there always is with you, Dill. So I should have assumed. Um, yeah. So your Halloween week, the first 3, like your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, are those are the 3 you're talking about on Framerec, or you're
Yes.
talking about completely different ones?
No,
Okay,
we're
because I was
covering those 3. I've never seen them, so I was like, I gotta watch these 3 for Framerec, so why not just make it
okay,
a whole week of Halloween?
okay,
Because I've seen the
gotcha.
first 2, I've seen the newest 3 movies,
Oh,
and then I've
and then
seen yeah.
the Thursday, Friday ones are remakes with completely different people?
Yes, they're completely different people. They're the remakes from 2008, I think, or 2009 or something like that. 2007,
Mm,
2009. Rob Zombie directed them. He's a great director. I love Rob Zombie's work. Chad hates him, but
okay.
I do love Rob Zombie, so I'm excited for that. But
I
I've never
am
seen those ones, so
I am super interested. I know you invited me to The Exorcist, but I am super interested in going to the movies with you to see Five Nights at Freddy's because
yeah,
that
let's
one
do it.
looks
I mean,
really good.
I saved my Sundays are off from work usually, so I'm taking those days to go to the theaters. I went to see Saw X
Yeah,
today when we're recording it. Um,
nice.
and the Saturdays are more for like, oh, I had a long week of work, let me watch something on streaming, and then Sundays are let's go to the theaters. Even though I'm not going to go to the theaters for Winnie the Pooh or Haunted Mansion, those will be on streaming as well. But yeah, so I also am going to be doing daily TikToks, just covering each one in like a 1 minute review or something. So keep an eye out for that.
Nice.
Saw X should have dropped by now. By the time you're seeing this, it might be a day later for every one of these, just because if I'm watching them at like 11 p.m., I'm not going to record it at like 2 a.m. So I'll just record it the next day. So you'll be getting the Saw X one sometime today on TikTok, and then Frankenstein tomorrow, and so on and so forth. All right, Kels, let's transition to yours.
Awesome.
Awesome. Let me find it. Let me find it. Let
I'm
me
a
find
big
it.
awesome person. Apparently, that's a very American thing to say awesome.
Yes,
They
it
don't say
is.
that other places.
All right,
Okay.
Kels, here's your 31. Let us know what are your thoughts.
Okay. So basically, when I did my 31 Frights of Halloween last year, I mixed in some movies I had seen, some movies I hadn't seen, some cartoons, some really like, family, kid friendly kind of stuff. This year, I'm going for the scare. I don't want to sleep a wink the whole month. I literally just compiled this list by typing in like literally scariest movies of all time, and I wanted to make sure that I hadn't seen any one of them. So if you're
Wow, you
wondering
haven't seen
why
any of these.
I haven't seen any of these,
Wow.
not
Okay.
not one of the 31 movies, which you might be upset when I tell
I
you
also
what they
want to.
are.
I also want to say I see a few of these are ones I recommended from last year, and I don't know if it's because I recommended them for last year or not. But I would like to believe that you're watching The Babadook and The Visit because I said it last year. But
Yes,
I don't.
of course. Yes, Dylan, I remember you talking about The Visit to me, and I thought that because you were telling me about it that it was going to be, like, more recent, but it's from 2015. So I
It's
was like,
recent.
"Is that the right movie? That's, like,
Mhm.
5 years ago."
Yeah, I mean,
More,
you got
8.
you. I mean, you'll go through all of them, but you do have three Shyamalan movies, which is very exciting because I'm going to be
Um,
watching The Sixth Sense, and you're watching three of his, so that's going to
yes.
be awesome.
So this is not the order because if you know anything about my last year, 31 Frights of Halloween, I do it randomized. So, the computer picks a number, 1 through 31, and that's the movie that I watch that day. So it, keeps me on my toes. And so this is just like from order from like oldest to like newest, basically, was how I
Yeah.
did it. And so these are the movies that I picked this month. Rosemary's, okay, Rosemary's Baby.
Okay. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't,
Oh
but it
shit.
was
Okay.
recommended to me, and, it just seemed it's like one of those classics that I just feel like, yeah, you gotta see if you're a horror movie person.
Hmm.
And then I have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I always avoided because I'm not a fan of gore or, like, gore for just the sake of gore. Like,
Hmm.
if it's purposeful gore, then sure, but it's just like, I don't know, those movies just seem too, like, theatrical for
Yeah, and
me.
I'll
You know
tell
what I
you
mean?
because it's in the 70s, it's not going to be gore by today's standards, so you're going to be okay.
Okay,
It's very much 70s, but great pick, great pick. The ending of that
thank
movie is
you.
so good.
Next, we got Jaws. I'm so sorry. I've never seen Jaws.
No,
I
that's a
know.
good thing. It's exciting because you're going to finally see it.
Because listen, I love going to the beach. It's one of my favorite places. And for the longest time, I not just avoided this movie, but I avoided all shark movies because I did not want to ruin my love of the ocean. So then I have another horror classic from back in the day, The Omen.
Carrie Webb's
Um,
favorite horror movie, our guest for Marvelous Movie Mondays,
great.
our
I'll take
Marvel trivia competitor, Carrie.
any recommendation from Carrie. Absolutely. It has the Carrie stamp of approval. I know it's going to be good. So next I have Alien, which is another movie I really should have seen at some point, but I hadn't. I have the OG, the original, The Evil Dead, which I think might just be called Evil Dead and not The
The
Evil
Evil
Dead.
Dead. That one's The Evil
Okay,
Dead. Yep.
okay,
Sam
that
Raimi,
great.
baby, he's back. We talked about him all day.
Amazing. And then I have The Thing, and then we have Poltergeist, which is a 80s classic.
Mhm.
I got Child's Play in there. I
Yes.
never wanted to watch any of the doll movies because, I was a little girl. I grew up playing with dolls. I didn't want to ruin
Mm.
dolls for me. Um, and then I got the same movie as you, Dill, Donnie Darko. We're both
Oh
watching
yeah.
it for the first time.
Cool.
And then I have 28 Days Later. I
Nice.
have The Ring, which is
Okay,
just a
question.
classic.
Are
Yes,
you watching the original Japanese The Ring or the remake, the American one?
I'm watching The Ring from 2002.
The remake. Cool, cool. So the one with the girl at the TV that I'm sure you've heard
Yeah.
of. Yes, cool.
Yeah. It's like you watch the tape and then you die or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never
Then
seen
I
either
have
of them. That's why I was
Signs.
curious.
What I really like, what I was also aiming for was that I didn't just want like all ghosts or all like possession stuff. Like
Right.
I have like quite a mix of things. Like I
Oh
have
yeah.
like creatures and sharks and aliens and ghosts and oh my.
Mhm.
So and
Yeah.
now then I got Signs.
Yeah.
I have The
Signs the first of
Grudge.
your three Shyamalans. I love it.
Yes. I have The Grudge, which I'm really like
And that's
nervous about.
that's the American remake too, the Sarah Michelle Gellar one.
Could be,
Could be. Okay, is it from the
probably.
2000s or the 90s?
It's from the 2000s
All right, cool, cool.
because this is our 2000s era now.
Oh, okay,
I
gotcha,
got
yeah.
the
Because that also
Ultimate.
has a Japanese original. That's why I was curious.
Oh, okay, gotcha. See, I think the Japanese versions would probably be scarier, right?
Yeah, no, watch the American ones first, and then if you like them, you can go back and watch the Japanese ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have the OG Paranormal Activity. I have Insidious, which I have been told is very, very scary, and it has
Yeah. Yeah.
Ty Simpkins in it from
Mhm.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Um, Now the next movie, Sinister. This was on every single list without a doubt. No matter what internet forum I went to looking for scariest horror movies, Sinister was on the list. So I'm nervous about Sinister.
Yeah, I've never seen
Um,
it for that reason. Do you know who directed it?
yeah. No, who directed it?
Director of Doctor Strange, Scott Derrickson.
Oh, right. I remember seeing that, and I said that in my head. I was like, "Oh, I recognize that name." Then I have the original, or like not the original, but like the prequel to the Conjuring movies, Annabelle, which I heard isn't that great, so I never saw it. Um, then I have a movie that Dill has really wanted me to see, obviously the Babadook, or is it the Babadook?
Um, I think Babadook, but that could also just
Okay,
because it's Australian, so that might be the way they pronounce it, but I don't know.
the Babadook.
The Babadook.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
You like Talk to
then
Me, so you're gonna like some more Australian horror. I love that.
great. Yeah, I did. Oh, I was like this the whole time and talk to me. Okay. Then I have Crimson Peak, which is a Tom Hiddleston movie. I have The Visit, as we talked about, also recommended by Dale.
Yeah,
I
Shyamalan.
feel like you also told me to watch Train to
Yes.
Busan.
Train to
Um, you
Busan. Yep. Yeah, it's
you
awesome.
train
It's freaking
you
awesome.
told me to watch this one as well, and this one is also the same director as Parasite.
Not the
Am I wrong?
same director. No, Snowpiercer is the one that's takes
Oh,
place
the
on a
other train
train.
movie.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Snowpiercer
Yeah.
is and Train to Busan are both about trains. Snowpiercer is the one directed by Bong Joon-ho who did Parasite.
Yes.
Train to Busan is the zombie one.
Okay,
This
great,
is
great,
the
great.
better Halloween one for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, and now I got zombies in the mix too. I'm covering all my spooky bases.
Yeah,
So then
love
I
it.
have a movie that I remember seeing the trailers for, and I love James McAvoy, so I was like, "Oh, I really want to see that," and I just never got around to it, and it's Split. Um, and then I have Parasite. I'm finally watching the Oscar Best Picture winner,
Yeah.
Parasite. And then I have all of the movies from like the past 2 years that I really wanted to see that I haven't gotten a chance to,
Wow,
and
you've
that's
never seen
Barb.
any of these. Oh, I'm so
I
excited
know.
for you.
Barbarian, Bodies, Megan, Nope, Pearl, Skinamarink, which I've heard crazy things about, and X.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's my
awesome.
31 Frights of Halloween, and I think I'm gonna be frightened.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be fine. I think you're gonna have some good let ups. Like I think Crimson Peak is gonna be a nice little let up for you because it's like
Okay.
not terrifying, but it's got spooky stuff, but it gets a nice little breather. I think Split and Parasite will be nice breathers for you. Megan probably too. Just well, I don't know
Yeah,
because it's a killer doll. Jaws can vary depending. I
sure.
think Evil Dead will be more fun than scary for you, but everything else is like
Okay.
It's scary. And then
Great.
Skinamarink is going to be the biggest thing where I'm like, I have no idea if you're going to hate it or love it. Like, you may legitimately hate it, but I
Okay.
implore you, when you watch Skinamarink, turn off all the lights and turn up the volume of the TV as much as you can.
Great.
Like because the ambiance is what you'll need for Skinamarink. And for The Thing, blast your AC as cold as it goes. That's what I'll say. Make yourself really cold and put yourself in like a really cold position to where you have to like
Okay.
bundle up in blankets because it all
Okay.
takes place in the snow. Um,
Okay.
so that would be my recommendation. I mean, this is a great list. I mean, Nope is so
Cool.
good. I mean, this could be like a great all-time 31 best horror films ever list. Save for maybe because like I'm not a big fan of Crimson Peak or Split or Annabelle, but like otherwise, like all of these other ones are jackpots.
Well, I'm
Yeah, I'm
excited. I'm
excited for you. Here's
literally starting.
what I haven't seen from yours. I have not seen Donnie Darko,
Okay.
which I'm going to remedy. I have
Yeah.
not seen the original Ring or the remake of The Ring. I've not seen the original or remake of The Grudge. Never seen
Mhm.
Signs. Never seen Sinister. Never seen
Mm.
Paranormal Activity. But everything else I've seen of yours. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts on these TikToks. Are you doing TikToks this year or no? You're just going
Yeah.
to do like,
Oh, yeah, I'm doing TikToks.
cool.
I'm
Nice.
doing
Well,
talks. Don't you
yeah.
worry.
So do you want to do us the honors of? Oh no, because you're gonna want to do it for the TikTok. I was gonna say, do you want to pick your first one right now? But I don't want to make you do that
I could.
because for the format of your TikTok, I don't want to ruin that for you. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be hard to replicate which one I land
Right.
on for the TikTok to keep it,
It's okay.
to keep the
Authentic.
authenticity.
It's okay.
But
You know what? You know what though? Like once you record that part of the TikTok, I was gonna say give it to me and I'll edit it into the episode, but I don't want to
mm,
edit this episode because it's been so good and we don't need to cut it anyway. It's okay. We'll leave them surprised. Go to the TikTok. Go to Kelsey's
yeah.
TikTok and find it. Yeah, you can find her. Where can you find her, Kelsey? Oh, I need to change your TikTok. I'm sorry.
Hold on, I changed my TikTok name and I can't
Yeah,
remember if it's
I'm
just
gonna put it
Kelsey
on a
Kilp
banner
or
so people
Kelsey.
can.
Oh, sorry. My TikTok's playing. It's Kelsey A Kilp. KelseyAKilp.
There it is, people. That's where you want to find Kelsey, not whatever's written down there. Cause
No.
13. Don't do that.
Cause
This is
is
where you
dead.
want. Yeah. And then if you want to see mine, go to the Dill Pickle Movie Network TikTok. That's where I will be doing mine. And I will also be resharing Kelsey's onto the Dill Pickle Movie Network one as well, just because why not? So there's like a repost button on TikTok now. So like
Nice.
I'll be reposting hers as well. So you get the full
Cool.
thing. You get to see all of hers and all of mine. Hers are random, mine are scheduled. So if you want to keep on pace with either of us, what I recommend doing is starting your morning off with what is already scheduled on the calendar for me, and then going at night, looking at what's on the TikTok, and then doing whatever movie Kelsey picked. That could be the best way to keep up with both of us. And then at the end of the month, either the end of the month or like the first week of November, we will be doing a recap of all our 31 days. We'll probably do it before October's up, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. And we will cover all that. And next week, we're covering Loki, though. Hell yeah. I'm so excited, Kels. Are you excited?
I'm excited to get more of Ke Huy Quan.
Yes. Ke Huy Quan.
Kiwi
Yeah.
Quan?
Yeah. So we had it. I just wanted you to go right now. I wanted you to take a bold prediction. What do you think my number one is going to be after watching this? My number one first time watch.
Oh,
Just watching, looking at this list. I'll tell you what I've seen. I've already seen Sixth Sense. I've already seen The Witch. I've seen Hocus Pocus and Halloween, and I've seen The Shining and the original Frankenstein. Those are the ones I've all seen.
you've seen The Witch?
Yes.
Okay. Dill, for some reason, I can feel you really walking away and really loving Renfield.
Okay. Interesting. I'm
That's
not going to let
that's
that
my
influence my opinion either way.
okay.
And then for
What
me,
about for
for you,
me?
I'm going to pull it up. I think you're going to love Parasite, but I think also because it's a little more thriller than horror, I don't know if that'll be like your number one. So I'm going to predict on this list that you're going to come away saying that your favorite movie that you watched was Poltergeist. That's going to be my guess.
Okay,
Poltergeist or Train to Busan. Those are my guesses.
we'll see.
Because I have no idea. All right, y'all. We'll see you later. Oh, we also got to fit in the Eras tour somewhere in there. You're probably gonna go see it multiple times, aren't you?
Oh, I already have my tickets and the date I'm seeing it. Don't worry.
Oh, you're only seeing it once.
Well, I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna see
no,
it
I
again, but you know, for
yeah.
my New York friends, I have a date, and then I'm probably gonna go to Jersey and see it with my Jersey friends too.
Gotcha. So I guess I'm not part of that New York friends group. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
You
I
could be.
no, I need to figure out when I'm seeing it and I'm gonna see it, but my schedule's so crazy. But yes, we will be also talking about the Eras Tour when it comes out. Whenever we'll do a mini review here for you. But I don't know when that will
Yay.
be. And we've also got a trivia tournament. People, by midnight tonight, I'm extending it one day. By midnight on October 1st, I need, or October 2nd now, I need
October 2nd.
everyone who wants to fill out a bracket. Fill out a bracket, send it to moviedill@gmail.com. If you win, if you have the winning bracket, if you get the most correct, then you will get either a chance to co-host a match with either of us, probably Kelsey, or you will get to participate in the season opener of next year. So even if you don't win this tournament, you can still get a guaranteed match at the beginning of next year in January, or you will, if you're not a competitor and you just want to play along, you will get to co-host the match with me and Kelsey or me, depending on who's in the match. So get those brackets in. I'm extending it 24 more hours. Go check it out. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.